Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ and welcome to another detailed forecast update for November 18th, 2024. Today we're going to be talking about that heavy rainfall that's expected to develop across parts of southeastern Queensland. Heavy falls also expected into central Queensland, especially on the central Queensland coastline where a lot of rainfall is expected. We give a tropical weather update as well. Severe thunderstorms expected across parts of Western Australia, and we'll touch on the fire danger ratings across parts of Victoria as well. Things are getting quite nasty down there. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. The support lately has been much appreciated, but let's get stuck straight into things today across south central parts of Queensland where some heavy falls are possible from showers and thunderstorms from this afternoon and evening. So with thunderstorms expected to fire up throughout the course of today across interior parts of central Queensland, especially between a line from Moree in the northeast of New South Wales through Thallon, Goondiwindi and St George, and then up towards Windora in the western parts of Queensland. Severe thunderstorms expected to dot this line here between Charleville and Roma as well, with a chance of severe storms bringing heavy rainfall, damaging winds and large hailstones here and there, extending across into the southeastern corner of Queensland later on tonight, with some possible heavy rainfall into the Gold Coast hinterland area into later tonight into very early tomorrow morning, and some heavy falls also expected around the Roma and Charleville area into the early hours of tomorrow morning, where up to 100 millimetres could fall. And I know that's a very bullish number and in stark contrast to what the Bureau of Meteorology and other forecast models are suggesting, but I'm going all out on this here. If this rainfall does materialise like we're seeing on the forecast models right now between the Eastern Blue and the Axis G3 model, we will see some heavy falls to the 9 a.m. tomorrow morning around the Roma and St George sort of area, just in this little pocket here that I'm circling right now, which could lead to some flash flooding and even some riverine flooding across certain locations. And you can see here on this forecast, the Eastern BF actually expecting some very good totals of rainfall over the coming kind of 24 to 48 hours. Peak rainfall accumulations on this forecast actually exceeding 120 millimetres here, which I do believe is a little bit bullish, but again, some good falls do look to be expected at this time. Rainfall extending into the Gold Coast and the Brisbane area by early tomorrow morning, and some good falls expected right through tomorrow across parts of the Gold Coast and the Brisbane metro area. We could be seeing totals amount to about 50 or 60 millimetres across parts of the Gold Coast hinterland, and then into the Gold Coast and Brisbane itself, up towards 30 or 35 millimetres through there, which could just add to the flooding problem, especially around Brisbane. They have had some significant flash flooding from just a pile of rainfall that came through on Saturday, so rainfall there probably not welcome for a good couple of days. Showers continuing through Wednesday as well, a couple of heavy falls possible into Wednesday night, into early Thursday morning around parts of the Gold Coast area, especially extending up towards Coomera, and showers extending further into central parts of Queensland around Charleville and St George throughout the course of Wednesday and into Thursday. But thunderstorms there should be few and far between, those showers extending up into the Sunshine Coast on Thursday afternoon before, get this, pretty much 5 or 6 days of break type weather for Queensland. No showers, no thunderstorms. It's going to be pretty clear for the most part. A few clouds expected to fly high in the sky, but a few showers also on the forecast here, but for the most part there's no severe thunderstorms on the forecast. It looks like a pretty calm period for the southeastern parts of Queensland from Friday the 22nd of November right through the foreseeable forecast. I mean, really nothing in the way of thunderstorms expected for Brisbane, the Gold Coast or the Sunshine Coast right throughout to the end of this forecast on Wednesday the 27th of November, and probably a little bit further than that onwards as well. So very interesting stuff indeed. The rainfall will pile on, however, over the coming couple of days. I mean, from these showers and storms here even around the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area and into the Gold Coast hinterland, and then some of the mountains outside of the northeastern corner of New South Wales up towards Hines Dam, some good falls expected out there up towards 130 millimetres or so. Boonah expecting about 60 millimetres over the coming 5 days. Brisbane and the Gold Coast between 60 and 80 millimetres apiece. The majority of that should fall on Tuesday, and then a couple more showers coming through Wednesday afternoon and evening. And like I said, those really good falls out towards Roma, some good rainfall expected out there, 140 or 150 millimetres. Totally plausible, but I do reckon that is on the higher side of what is possible over the coming couple of days. In terms of those thunderstorms tonight, though, we're not expecting anything crazy. I mean, the temperatures are going to be there to promote severe thunderstorms, but we're not expecting all-out warm temperatures. In fact, it's only going up into the low to kind of mid-30s as opposed to the low to mid-40s across this part of Queensland. So those heatwave conditions have started to ease off, and temperatures are about 6 to 8 degrees cooler than what they have been for the majority of November. So those temperatures will prevent those proper, powerful, severe thunderstorms from developing, and as such, there's not as much instability on the forecast here. St. George could still get a gnarly thunderstorm or two, just taking a look at the convective available potential energy for the location at this time, but still there's energy values about half of what they normally are for this time of the year when we're talking about a potential severe thunderstorm outbreak. Pretty disappointing, that's for sure, and pretty disappointing for those that were looking forward to a couple of gnarly thunderstorms this afternoon. They're just not going to fire up, unfortunately. So sorry to be disappointing for the southern parts of Queensland, but we're not going to be disappointed in the central coastline regions, with plenty of rainfall expected to pile on from Wednesday afternoon onwards. So let's pull that forecast across to Wednesday right now and take a look at this onshore flow that's expected to set itself up across inland parts of Queensland. I mean, just take a look at this here. You can see plenty of rainfall expected to pile on from showers and the odd storm here and there for locations between Agnes Water and Mackay throughout Wednesday afternoon and evening, before the really heavy rainfall sets in late Wednesday night for locations between Rockhampton, and as this rain ball or rain bomb, if you would, if you're into that sort of terminology, slowly creeps up the coastline up towards Mackay through Wednesday night and into early Thursday morning. Thursday morning, we're going to be waking up to some significant rainfall accumulations as this onshore flow really does pile on the rainfall around Rockhampton and even up towards Yeppoon as well. Some good falls expected up there. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we were waking up to rainfall accumulations exceeding 100 millimetres for Yeppoon on Thursday morning. Rainfall continuing through Thursday afternoon, extending up to about West Hill and then further north up towards Mackay by late Thursday afternoon and into early Friday morning for the Sunshine Coast and the Whitsundays. Showers continuing across the central coast of Queensland through Thursday and Friday as well, and for locations that miss out on the significant rainfall Wednesday night into Thursday morning through Thursday afternoon and evening, especially for Agnes Water and Bundaberg, some showers expected to pile on up there, and we'd be seeing rainfall accumulations about 20 to 30 millimetres for all 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, for some of these locations here. Unfortunately, for places south of Rockhampton, including Agnes Water and Bundaberg, I can't say that the rainfall is expected to be great at this time. It's going to be good for locations here and there, but for the most part, the rainfall will be a miss and quite disappointing, and it's not the 100 or 150 millimetres that those locations do desperately need at this time. But for locations between Rockhampton and Bowen, you are going to be spoiled, especially along the peninsula between Ogmore and Rockhampton, rounding out the Wide Bay area that Yeppoon sits on. You can see on Thursday some very good rainfall accumulations are expected here, with 3-hourly rainfall accumulations exceeding 150 millimetres. What this is going to be here is just some stagnant and very steady moderate to heavy rainfall that has no intention of moving here, and that's just going to pile on the rainfall. Very good to see, typical to see for this time of the year as well. Rockhampton, like I've said multiple times already, could get some pretty good rainfall here. The Whitsundays as well, some of the islands further out to sea will be seeing some very good rainfall from the odd storm here and there as well, and the mountains outside of Mackay, especially around Mount Gargett and Mount Yalbaroo, will be seeing some very good rainfall accumulations as well from showers and storms throughout the course of Thursday and into early Friday morning. The rainfall expected to really pile on for those locations. So let's break down 3-day rainfall accumulations for these places right now through Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, because they are significant. Bundaberg and Agnes Water, as we have already talked about, are going to be pretty disappointed in the rainfall that they are going to get. Unfortunately, for the most part, rainfall accumulations will be under 50 millimetres here, and they could be as low as 10 or 20 millimetres depending on how these showers move. It's not all doom and gloom though. There is hope for Bundaberg and Agnes Water, with rainfall accumulations up to 60 millimetres possible, but a very uncertain forecast at that. Gladstone's kind of on the southern edge of the kind of more certain rainfall here. They could see up towards 50 millimetres. I reckon Gladstone will see at least 40 millimetres from this rainfall event here. Further north up towards Rockhampton, they should see 100 millimetres at least to the 9 a.m. on Friday across a 2-day rainfall period here. And then further north up towards Yeppoon, some good falls expected up there, about 150 or 160 millimetres. But then the forecast gets pretty uncertain depending on where this low pressure system or this rain bomb moves. The rainfall is going to be very uncertain through here, with some peak rainfall accumulations up to about 500 millimetres totally plausible over this 3-day period, and about 300 millimetres possible on Thursday when this rainfall event's core is moving across the coastline here. But again, if this forecast track shifts 50 kilometres to the south or 50 kilometres to the north, it's going to take the heavy falls with it. So again, we're going to have to wait and see what is actually expected here. Communities between Ogmore right up to Mackay, including Serena down towards West Hill, Clearview, Fairview and St. Lawrence. The rainfall is going to be very heavy through there. Accumulations between 100 and 180 millimetres look possible here, and in fact up towards 180 millimetres looks pretty set in stone for some of the more mountainous areas between West Hill and Serena, further inland out towards Gargett and Yalborough as well. Some heavy rainfall expected through there. Falls should ease off as you get over the mountains and further inland out towards Moranbah. The rainfall's going to be pretty light out there, but for the most part the rainfall very heavy along the coastline, which is great to see indeed from these heavy showers, especially on late Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning and into Thursday afternoon, and then into early Friday morning. The rainfall is going to be at its peak, heading from south to north, with some very heavy falls being dragged along with it. Again, like I've said, it really does depend on where this system does track. The rainfall could be very heavy along the coastline, but if it heads further out to sea, the rainfall won't be as bad. If this was later on in the year as well, or into early next year, we'd definitely be talking about the chances of this system turning into a tropical low or a tropical cyclone as well. So that's another interesting point here, but it's just not going to round out the low pressure system that we would like to see on a tropical low to classify this as a tropical system or a tropical disturbance here, but it still will have the winds to match, with peak wind gusts expected to be around that 70 to 80 kilometers an hour, maybe even up towards 90 kilometers an hour. So we'll likely see severe weather warnings raised for locations between Gladstone up to about Mackay for gale force winds gusting up to about 90 or 100 kilometers an hour at times. Certainly some strong wind gusts expected even for this time of year from this rainfall event. Certainly something worth keeping close tabs on and close eyes on, that's for sure, along the central Queensland coastline. Further up the coastline as well, from central Queensland into the far north of Queensland on Thursday, we're expecting an outbreak of some gnarly severe thunderstorms, especially into inland parts of far northern Queensland. We could be seeing some very heavy falls out towards Georgetown and Croydon from these thunderstorms, albeit they will be very hit and miss further up the coast as well, up towards Ravenshaw and Atherton, especially into the Atherton tablelands, which are parched right now. The chance of some rainfall is there, but for the most part it doesn't look awfully likely. Cairns could receive some good falls from this weather system as well. Innisfail and Tully also expecting the chance of some rainfall here, and I'd be surprised if locations between Innisfail and Tully didn't pick up to about 100 or 120 millimetres on both Wednesday night into Thursday morning, with accumulations up towards 250 millimetres possible to the 9 a.m. on Friday from this weather event here. Of course, rainfall accumulations, they can absolutely blow out across this part of far northern Queensland, so that's why I'm calling for such high accumulations. It is in stark contrast to what's expected further up the coastline. Even the Daintree rainforest, however, could pick up some good falls, which is exciting for them. Down to Townsville, however, the rainfall could be very hit and miss here. If it hits, we'll be seeing accumulations up towards 60 or 70 millimetres, but if it misses, and there is a chance of that, rainfall accumulations will only sit around that 10 to 20 millimetres from a couple of light showers or the remnants of thunderstorms. At this time, I would err on the side of caution and say for some lower rainfall accumulations around Townsville, in stark contrast to what's expected around the Mackay sort of area, but there is still the chance of some good falls around the Townsville sort of area, so we will not completely write them off at this time. And you can see that on the map here. Peak rainfall accumulations through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday across Queensland's far north should remain above 100 millimetres around the Ingham and Cardwell area. And also, just compared to this forecast here, which is definitely on the lower side because of the model's resolution, but around Innisfail and Tully, rainfall accumulations should exceed 125 millimetres over this 4-day period, and perhaps much more than that for a couple of very wet locations between Innisfail and Tully. But again, we will wait and see. Forecast is still a little bit uncertain on this weather event here, especially if it tracks closer to the coastline or further out to sea. That's going to have major ramifications on whether rainfall is actually expected. Over the coming couple of days as well, remaining wet across interior parts of the Northern Territory, wet next week for South Australia, and wet this week across interior parts of WA, with severe thunderstorms expected over the coming 72 hours, especially into the southwestern corner of the state, with showers and storms firing up from a west coast trough that's materialising along, you guessed it, the west coast of Western Australia throughout the course of today. Showers and storms expected to materialise across the Perth metro area at around 8 or 9 p.m. tonight. They're going to be really late, that's for sure, and they're not expected to be severe either. A few storms expected here and there, especially into the Wheatbelt region. We'll see a couple of storms possible later on into tonight and into very early tomorrow morning. It's going to be a humid 34-degree maximum for Perth today as well. Pretty uncomfortable, pretty muggy, that's for sure. And that's why those thunderstorms are expected to materialise later on into the night. Tomorrow morning we'll see showers and storms develop of the line between Carnarvon right down towards Merredin and Southern Cross in the central parts parts of the wheat belt, impacting communities through the Murchison and into the southern parts of the Gascoyne. Carnarvon could get a good deluge tomorrow night as well, as per this forecast, with a couple of heavy drops of rainfall possible there, and then into inland parts of WA as well throughout the Gascoyne, parts of the Pilbara. Some heavy severe thunderstorms expected on both Tuesday and Wednesday night. Severe thunderstorms also possible from Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening through parts of the Wheatbelt region, and then moving into the Goldfields, sweeping through as this low pressure system turns frontal by Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, taking its thunderstorms with it, sweeping down into the Great Australian Bight and dying off there. Showers possible throughout Thursday and Friday for the Perth metro area, but they should be non-thunderstorm related for the most part, and keeping conditions cool for the weekend as well across parts of Perth before temperatures warm up into the early parts of next week, with temperatures expected into the high 20s and early 30s across Western Australia into the early to middle parts of next week as these thunderstorms draw out of the state. And just to wrap this video up, before we talk about a tropical cyclone, I would like to talk about those fire danger ratings across parts of Victoria. Now, they have dropped off from yesterday. I mean, we were talking about some pretty extreme fire danger ratings yesterday, which promoted those fire developments across parts of the Victorian state. But we've still got high to very high fire danger ratings extending between a line from Bendigo up towards Mildura. So if you do live in this area here that's outlined in that bright red, then make sure you are staying safe and heeding all warnings from the state emergency services. The fire danger ratings are still quite high today, and then extreme fire danger ratings expected around the Mildura and Oyen area throughout Thursday and Friday of this coming week. As temperatures warm up once again, those winds do pick up. So again, make sure you are heeding all warnings from the state emergency services and staying safe in this high fire danger rating, or very high fire danger and very an extreme fire danger rating event that we're expecting to round out this coming week. So make sure you are staying safe through there. Melbourne is well expecting high fire danger ratings through Thursday and Friday. So make sure you do have your fire action plan in place, especially if fires do develop in your area, and heed all warnings from the state emergency services in Victoria. And just to round out this video as well, I thought we'd check up on old friend Tropical Cyclone Becky, which is well out in the Indian Ocean. It has weakened off a little bit from yesterday, but it reached a tremendous peak of Category 4 tropical cyclone status on the Australian scale, and it actually got pretty close to Category 5 status as well. I mean, at peak intensity, it was a pretty well-grounded system here, an annular tropical cyclone with that classic donut structure, a very nice eye as well, beginning to develop there. If this was a couple of months later as well, we'd definitely be talking about a Category 5 system. It would have some great conditions under it, well away from Western Australia as well, and it's beginning to die off at this time. You can see it, the gap between Western Australia and Tropical Cyclone Becky is continuing to increase as its wind speeds slowly decrease and this system slowly begins to weaken off here. Anyways, that is all that I have time for throughout the course of today. If this video has sounded a little bit rushed, well, I forgot to press record on the first take of it, so I've actually been talking for the last 40 minutes, and it has been quite tiring indeed. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the second take on this forecast update. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now, and I could not run this show without them, and their support is much appreciated. But that is all from me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.